The Browns held their final practice that we'll get to see before their preseason opener on Thursday. And Mary Kay, let's start with something away from practice. Corey Coleman, no charges will be filed. The prosecutor announced today in that incident that happened in a parking garage towards the end of last season.
Yeah, you know, his brother and his friend are still facing charges, but Corey was cleared today, and that's good for the Browns. It's good for Corey. He can now just focus on football and put this behind him.
And hopefully, you know, I'm sure Hugh Jackson has spoken to him, and Corey talked about this as well. Even though he didn't think he was going to get charged, there's still a lesson to be taken from this.
Yeah, that's what Hugh said today. He said, you know, learn something from this, and I think Corey has. I think, you know, he realized he has to be in the right place at the right time at all times.
Now let's talk about on the field, because Brock Osweiler, it really started yesterday, but today, for the most part, struggled a little bit at the end of practice, but he looked very good today. He looked like a guy that just got named the starter and feels very confident.
Yeah, you know what? He's playing fast, and I think that's the difference that you see in Brock as opposed to some of the younger guys. I mean, the game has really slowed down for him. This is his 6th NFL season, so, you know, he sees things a lot quicker than some of the other guys do, and you're seeing that show up. They're scoring the football, as they like to say around these parts. Ricardo Louis had a great day today. Duke Johnson had a nice day. They're actually getting in the end zone, which they need to do.
Yeah, and speaking of Ricardo and doing, I mean, Ricardo Louis made some fantastic catches, had a diving catch that he ended up getting up and taking into the end zone, had a really nice catch too, where he fought off a defensive back and kind of went over the top in the end zone to make the catch, and that's big because he's slotted to be that number 3 wide receiver behind Kenny Britt and Corey Coleman.
Yeah, he is. I mean, they've got some interesting guys now that are their pass catchers, not necessarily receivers. You can add Duke Johnson to that mix, but in terms of just the traditional wideout, Ricardo will be playing that role, and he looks really good right now. And of course, he spent time with Brandon Marshall in the offseason, and that helped him along with everything else.
And of course, with Duke Johnson, we got to see him lined up in the slot. We did get to see him run the ball a little bit today, but I know you're going to have a little more on Duke coming.
Yeah, we've been talking about this since before training camp, that he was going to be their number 1 slot receiver. It's shaping up to be that way. He's proving that he deserves the role, and Al Saunders talked extensively about that today, and we will have more about that.
And you do see Al Saunders, you know, the senior offensive assistant wide receivers coach, he does interact with Duke a lot, so he really is kind of falling into that hybrid role. We'll have complete coverage of the day here in Berea at cleveland.com/Browns.